As we age, life's perspectives shift. The lens through which we view friendships, time, and emotional energy becomes clearer, revealing profound truths about the choices we must make for peace and fulfillment in our golden years. This journey into the intricacies of old friendships begins with a question: should we let old friends back into our lives? At first glance, the idea may seem harmless, even heartwarming. But beneath the surface lies a web of complexities that demands careful consideration. Imagine this: you receive a message from an old friend. Memories flood back, laughter, camaraderie, and perhaps even unresolved conflicts. The temptation to reconnect stirs within you. However, wisdom, born of decades of experiences and self-discovery, implores a pause. As someone who has weathered nearly 90 years of life's storms, let me share why it's not always the best choice to reopen those doors. Part 1: The past is a closed chapter. The past serves as an invaluable teacher, shaping who we are through its lessons, triumphs, and challenges. However, its role as a teacher is distinct from being a dwelling place. The past is a chapter of life meant to be closed, allowing us to move forward and embrace the opportunities of the present and future. Dwelling too long in what once was can trap us in patterns of nostalgia, preventing personal growth and disrupting the peace that we seek as we age. While old friendships may have held profound significance in their time, they may no longer align with who we have become in the present. Take the example of Henry, an elderly man who decided to reconnect with his childhood friend, Robert. Their initial meetings were filled with nostalgia, as they reminisced about their shared adventures and the carefree days of their youth. However, as the novelty wore off, the cracks in their renewed bond became evident. Henry realized that the connection they once shared was deeply rooted in who they were in the past, not who they had grown into as individuals. Conversations that once flowed effortlessly became stilted, and laughter that once came naturally began to feel forced. Their relationship, though meaningful in its time, was now merely a shadow of what it had been. Henry's attempt to relive the past did not rekindle old joys but rather underscored how much both he and Robert had changed. This highlights a profound truth: when we revisit old friendships, we often do so not because of the person themselves but because of the emotions and memories they evoke. When you think of a past friendship, ask yourself, do I miss the person? Or do I miss the feelings they represent? More often than not, it is the latter. We yearn for the sense of belonging, freedom, or simplicity that those friendships once symbolized. These emotions are tied to a specific time in our lives, a moment when we were different people, living in a different context. Chasing those feelings by attempting to reconnect with the individuals who were part of that time often leads to disappointment. The past cannot be recreated, it can only be cherished for what it was. Moreover, attempting to revive past connections can impose an emotional toll. It forces us to reconcile who we were with who we are now, which can be an unsettling process. Reopening these doors often brings to light the divergence in values, priorities, and worldviews that naturally occurs as people grow and evolve over time. Henry's story exemplifies this. While reconnecting initially seemed like an opportunity to revive lost joy, it instead became a stark reminder that some connections are meant to remain in the past. The allure of nostalgia, while potent, is deceptive. It paints an idealized picture of the past, obscuring its flaws and amplifying its joys. This romanticized view can make it tempting to pursue old connections, but doing so often reveals the dissonance between memory and reality. When the magic of shared moments no longer exists, what remains is a sense of loss, not just for the friendship but for the idealized past that can never be reclaimed. The inability to recreate the past underscores the importance of embracing the present. The relationships and experiences we have today hold their own unique value, unburdened by the weight of expectations tied to bygone eras. By honoring the lessons of the past without being tethered to it, we create space for new connections and opportunities that align with who we are now. Ultimately, the past is a source of wisdom, not a residence. Its purpose is to guide us, not to bind us. As we navigate the complexities of aging, it is essential to recognize the value of closing chapters, not as acts of rejection but as affirmations of our growth. By doing so, we honor both the past and the present, allowing ourselves to fully embrace the journey ahead. Part 2: Protecting your peace. Peace, particularly in the later stages of life, is a treasure of immeasurable value. It is not something that appears by chance but is cultivated through a lifetime of resilience, self-discovery, and navigating life's battles. As we age, the need to protect this hard-earned tranquility becomes more pressing. As the chaos of youth and the demands of responsibility recede, in its place, a deeper appreciation for stillness and harmony emerges. However, even well-meaning attempts to reconnect with old friendships can pose a threat to this delicate equilibrium. Consider the story of Martha, a retired teacher who reconnected with her old colleague, Susan. Susan exuded vibrancy and enthusiasm, traits that initially drew Martha back to the friendship. Yet, beneath Susan's energy lay unresolved emotional burdens from their shared past. Each interaction left Martha feeling drained, her carefully cultivated peace disrupted by conflicts and grievances that should have remained in the past. What began as an attempt to revive camaraderie soon revealed itself as an encroachment on the sanctuary of Martha's inner calm. Her story serves as a poignant reminder that peace, though precious, is fragile and requires conscious effort to preserve. The disruption of peace by reconnecting with old friends is not always due to malicious intent. Often, it is a consequence of unspoken expectations and emotional baggage that time has not erased. These interactions can reawaken dormant conflicts or highlight differences that have grown over the years. The energy required to bridge these gaps can weigh heavily on the soul, particularly in older age, when emotional reserves may already be stretched thin. For individuals like Martha, these moments can feel like an intrusion into the serenity they have worked so diligently to achieve. Balancing compassion with self-preservation becomes critical in such circumstances. Compassion, a hallmark of wisdom and emotional maturity, often drives the initial decision to reconnect. The desire to rekindle old bonds or extend understanding to someone from the past is noble. Yet, compassion must be tempered with an awareness of one's limitations. At this stage in life, the emotional labor required to rebuild a connection may exceed what one is willing or able to give. Reconnecting with an old friend often involves revisiting the shared history, unearthing memories, and potentially reopening wounds that have long been healed. This process, while sometimes rewarding, can just as easily lead to exhaustion and emotional turmoil. It is essential to recognize that self-preservation is not selfishness. Choosing to protect one's peace is a declaration of self-respect and acknowledgement of personal boundaries. In later years, prioritizing relationships that replenish rather than drain becomes a necessary act of self-care. This does not mean rejecting compassion or severing all ties with the past. Instead, it involves making mindful choices about where to invest emotional energy. By focusing on connections that uplift and nurture, one can honor the tranquility that has been so painstakingly cultivated. The interplay between compassion and self-preservation also highlights the importance of discernment. Not all relationships are meant to endure the test of time. Some serve their purpose in a particular season of life, offering lessons and experiences that help us grow. Clinging to these connections beyond their natural lifespan can hinder rather than enhance our well-being. Martha's experience underscores this truth. Even the most vibrant and well-intentioned of relationships can become burdensome if they fail to align with the values and priorities of the present. Ultimately, safeguarding peace requires a blend of empathy, self-awareness, and courage. It involves acknowledging that while the past has its place in shaping who we are, it should not dictate the terms of our present. Peace, once achieved, becomes a cornerstone of contentment in old age. Protecting it is not a rejection of others but an affirmation of one's own worth and the wisdom gained through life's journey. This balance allows individuals to engage with compassion while remaining rooted in their own sense of harmony. Part 3: Letting Go of Nostalgia. Nostalgia wields an undeniable power, wrapping the past in a golden glow that softens hardships and amplifies joys. It offers comfort, a sense of connection to moments when life seemed simpler, freer, or more vibrant. Yet, nostalgia is a double-edged sword, capable of distorting reality and anchoring us to an idealized past. Its allure can blind us to the beauty and opportunities of the present, tempting us to chase memories that can never be fully recaptured. This emotional pull often leads individuals to attempt reconnections based on the longing to relive what once was. The example of Eleanor and her college roommate, Linda, vividly illustrates this point. For Eleanor, the idea of reconnecting with Linda evoked visions of shared laughter and the carefree spirit of their youth. Nostalgia painted their college years as a time of unbreakable bonds and joyful camaraderie. Motivated by these memories, Eleanor sought to rekindle their friendship, expecting to reignite the spark that once defined their relationship. However, reality fell short of the nostalgic ideal. While their initial meeting was tinged with the warmth of reminiscence, it quickly became clear that the years had not only widened the physical distance between them but also deepened their differences. Traits and habits that were once endearing had transformed into sources of discomfort or irritation. Their conversations, which once flowed effortlessly, now revealed contrasting worldviews and life priorities that neither could reconcile. Nostalgia had lured Eleanor into pursuing an illusion, one that crumbled under the weight of time and change. This experience underscores a vital truth about nostalgia: it often traps us in a version of the past that no longer exists. The longing for a bygone era or a cherished connection can cloud our judgment, making us overlook the reality that people and circumstances evolve. Nostalgia's lens selectively filters out struggles and challenges, leaving behind an idealized memory that is impossible to recreate. When we attempt to revisit these moments, we risk disappointment, as the present can rarely measure up to the golden-hued illusions of the past. Moreover, the pursuit of nostalgia can come at the expense of the present. By fixating on what was, we may inadvertently neglect the richness of the here and now. Life continues to unfold, offering new opportunities for connection, growth, and joy. Clinging to an idealized past can prevent us from fully engaging with these experiences, limiting our ability to form meaningful relationships and embrace the present moment. The emotional trap of nostalgia also reveals the importance of discerning between the comfort it offers and the reality it obscures. Nostalgia, when embraced mindfully, can provide a sense of gratitude for the past and the experiences that have shaped us. It can serve as a reminder of the lessons learned and the joys experienced. However, when nostalgia becomes a driving force in our decisions, it risks tethering us to memories that no longer align with our current reality. Letting go of nostalgia does not mean rejecting the past or the people who were part of it. Instead, it involves acknowledging the limitations of those memories and recognizing that their value lies in what they have already given us, not in what they might provide if revived. By releasing the grip of nostalgia, we create space for the present to take root and flourish. This shift allows us to focus on relationships and experiences that resonate with who we are now, rather than who we once were. Ultimately, letting go of nostalgia is an act of self-liberation. It frees us from the constraints of an idealized past and opens the door to fully appreciating the present. Eleanor's journey highlights this transformative process. While her attempt to reconnect with Linda ended in disappointment, it also served as a turning point. She realized that the meaningful connections she sought were not in the past but in the present, waiting to be nurtured and cherished. This recognition is the essence of moving forward, embracing the beauty of the now while honoring the lessons of the past. Part 4: Emotional energy is finite. Emotional energy is a finite resource, one that becomes increasingly precious as we age. Unlike physical stamina, which can often be replenished with rest, emotional energy is more delicate, tied closely to our mental and emotional well-being. Every interaction we engage in draws from this well, and as the years go by, it becomes essential to be discerning about where and with whom this energy is spent. Not all relationships, no matter how well-intentioned, deserve such an investment, particularly when the emotional return is draining rather than uplifting. Reconnecting with old friends often seems like a harmless endeavor, driven by nostalgia or a desire to rekindle past bonds. However, such reunions frequently demand significant emotional labor. Rebuilding trust, re-establishing shared understanding, and navigating the changes that have occurred over time can deplete emotional reserves. What may start as a hopeful attempt to reconnect can quickly become a burden, particularly when the relationship no longer aligns with the person you've become. Tom's story exemplifies this. A widower seeking companionship and familiarity, Tom decided to reconnect with Paul, a high school friend he had not seen in decades. Initially, the reunion was pleasant, filled with shared memories and laughter. Yet, as their conversations deepened, Tom found himself ensnared in Paul's cycle of negativity, rather than a source of joy. Their interactions became a drain, as Paul consistently revisited old grievances and unresolved issues from their youth. Instead of feeling rejuvenated by the friendship, Tom's emotional energy began to wane. What was once a vibrant well of emotional strength became increasingly depleted, leaving him feeling more burdened than fulfilled. This experience underscores an important truth: the relationships we choose to invest in must be intentional. Emotional energy, while finite, has the power to deeply nourish when directed towards meaningful connections. Investing in relationships that uplift and support us is not just a matter of preference but a necessity for emotional health. For Tom, the time and energy spent on Paul could have been better directed toward relationships that brought him joy and stability, such as those with his family or close friends who had stood by him through life's challenges. Focusing on intentional relationships requires a shift in perspective. Rather than feeling obligated to maintain every connection, it is more beneficial to prioritize those that enrich your life. Family, close friends, and community members who have weathered life's storms alongside you are often the relationships most deserving of your energy. These individuals understand your journey, share your values, and are more likely to offer reciprocal emotional support. They have grown with you, adapting to the changes and challenges of life, and are therefore well suited to be part of your present and future. Moreover, intentional relationships foster a sense of balance and fulfillment. when emotional energy is directed toward connections that nurture and reciprocate. It creates a cycle of mutual support. This balance helps maintain emotional health and ensures that the finite resource of emotional energy is used wisely. Investing in these relationships is an act of self-care, affirming your worth and the value of your emotional well-being. In contrast, maintaining ties with individuals who drain your emotional reserves can have the opposite effect. These relationships, often marked by unresolved conflicts or incompatible dynamics, can weigh heavily on your mental and emotional state. The effort required to sustain such connections can leave you feeling depleted, overshadowing the joy and peace that should define your later years. Ultimately, recognizing the finiteness of emotional energy is a call to be deliberate in how you engage with others. It is not about rejecting people but about honoring your own emotional needs. By focusing on relationships that uplift, sustain, and energize you, you ensure that your emotional resources are spent in ways that enhance your life. Tom's story serves as a powerful reminder of this principle, illustrating the importance of choosing connections that bring light rather than shadow. This approach allows you to nurture your emotional well-being while building a support system that celebrates the person you have become. Part 5: The Empowerment of Polite Boundaries. The establishment of polite boundaries is a profound act of self-respect, not an expression of rejection or hostility. Setting these limits, when approached with kindness and empathy, allows individuals to protect their peace while maintaining respect for the relationships and memories that matter. Boundaries are not walls but guideposts, ensuring that emotional energy and focus are directed toward what truly aligns with one's present values and needs. They empower individuals to prioritize their well-being while preserving dignity for all parties involved. The necessity of boundaries becomes particularly evident when dealing with old friends or past relationships. Reconnecting with someone from the past often stirs a mix of emotions, ranging from nostalgia to a sense of obligation. However, not all connections from the past align with the person you have become. When faced with the overtures of an old friend, setting a boundary can be a thoughtful way to honor both your personal growth and the shared history without reopening doors that no longer serve your well-being. Boundaries, when articulated with grace, can maintain mutual respect and avoid unnecessary conflict. For example, a response such as, "Thank you for reaching out. I deeply appreciate the memories we shared, but I've chosen to focus on the present. I wish you all the best," is a powerful yet gentle way to establish a boundary. This expression acknowledges the value of the shared past while affirming the priority of the present. Such words, spoken with sincerity, preserve the dignity of the other person while clearly conveying your current focus and limitations. The art of setting boundaries lies in finding a balance between compassion and self-preservation. Compassion drives us to acknowledge the feelings and intentions of others, particularly those who may be reaching out from a place of vulnerability or longing. Yet, self-preservation requires us to consider our own emotional capacity and priorities. In later stages of life, emotional energy becomes a finite resource, and it is essential to channel this energy toward relationships and endeavors that align with your values and aspirations. Declining a reconnection is not about erasing the past but about recognizing its proper place in your life. Boundaries allow you to honor the lessons and joys that old friendships have brought while acknowledging that their role in your journey may no longer be active. This perspective fosters a sense of gratitude for the past without allowing it to overshadow the present. By thoughtfully setting boundaries, you maintain control over your emotional and mental space, safeguarding the peace and clarity you have worked to cultivate. Polite boundaries also have the power to enhance existing relationships. By clearly delineating what you can and cannot offer, you create opportunities for more authentic and fulfilling connections. Relationships built on mutual understanding and respect flourish when both parties feel free to express their needs and limitations. This transparency deepens trust and reinforces the value of the bonds you choose to nurture. Moreover, setting boundaries can serve as an empowering example to others. It demonstrates the importance of prioritizing well-being and living with intention. Many people struggle with the concept of boundaries, often fearing they will hurt others or be perceived as cold. However, boundaries, when delivered with grace, illustrate that self-respect and kindness can coexist. They show that saying no is not a rejection of another person but a thoughtful act of self-care and clarity. Ultimately, polite boundaries are a cornerstone of emotional health and personal empowerment. They enable individuals to engage with others from a place of strength and authenticity, rather than obligation or guilt. By framing boundaries as a way to honor both yourself and those around you, you cultivate a life rooted in balance and respect. The power of a well-set boundary lies not only in its ability to protect your peace but also in its capacity to affirm the value of your journey, past and present, while keeping your focus firmly on the future. Part 6. Focusing on the present. The present moment is the cornerstone of a meaningful and fulfilling life, offering a richness and immediacy that the past or future cannot replicate. Life unfolds in the here and now, and embracing this truth allows us to experience its beauty fully. However, the temptation to reconnect with old friends, often driven by nostalgia, can inadvertently distract us from the joy and simplicity of our current reality. While such reconnections may seem appealing, they can shift our focus away from the relationships and experiences that align with who we are today. Jane's story illustrates the profound rewards of prioritizing the present. Rather than attempting to rekindle old friendships, Jane chose to invest her time and emotional energy in her grandchildren. Her decision was not a rejection of the past but an acknowledgement of its place in her journey. By focusing on her family, she immersed herself in moments of laughter, storytelling, and connection. Each day became a canvas for creating new memories and strengthening bonds with those who mattered most in her current life. The fulfillment she found in these interactions far surpassed the fleeting comfort that nostalgia could provide. This example highlights an essential truth: the present offers opportunities for growth, joy, and connection that are uniquely suited to our current selves. The relationships and experiences of today reflect our evolved values, priorities, and perspectives. They resonate more deeply because they are rooted in the reality of who we have become, rather than the echo of who we once were. By directing our energy toward these present-day connections, we honor the journey of personal growth and ensure that our lives remain vibrant and meaningful. Reconnecting with old friends, while not inherently negative, can sometimes divert attention from these opportunities. Such reconnections often carry the weight of expectation, as we attempt to reconcile the person we once knew with the person standing before us. The result can be a misalignment between the past and present, leaving us caught between two worlds. In contrast, focusing on the present liberates us from this tension, allowing us to engage fully with the relationships and activities that bring genuine happiness and alignment. Moreover, the present moment offers a unique sense of simplicity that is often lost when we dwell on the past. Nostalgia, though comforting, can complicate our emotional landscape by idealizing what once was. This romanticized view can create a longing that distracts from the simplicity and authenticity of living in the now. Embracing the present means appreciating the little joys, the unremarkable yet profound moments that make up our daily lives. It is in these moments that we find true contentment and peace. Focusing on the present also enables us to build a legacy for the future. By investing time and energy in the people and pursuits that matter most, We create a ripple effect that extends beyond ourselves. Jane's choice to prioritize her grandchildren, for example, not only enriched her own life but also left a lasting impact on their lives. Her stories, laughter, and presence became a source of comfort and inspiration, forming a legacy rooted in love and connection. To fully embrace the present, it is necessary to let go of the attachments that tether us to the past. This does not mean dismissing the past or denying its significance, but rather recognizing that its purpose is to inform, not dominate, our current choices. By releasing these attachments, we open ourselves to the possibilities and joys of today, free to create a life that reflects our deepest values and aspirations. Ultimately, the present moment is a gift, a space where life's most meaningful experiences unfold. By choosing to focus on the here and now, we cultivate a sense of purpose and fulfillment that transcends the fleeting allure of nostalgia. The relationships we nurture and the moments we cherish today are the foundation of a life well lived, one that honors both the journey we have traveled and the path that lies ahead. Part 7. The Wisdom of Moving On. The wisdom of moving on lies in the delicate balance between honoring the past and embracing the future. It is not an act of erasure but a conscious decision to carry the lessons and growth that the past has provided while making space for new opportunities and connections. This process requires self-respect, reflection, and the courage to prioritize one's peace and well-being. Moving forward allows individuals to step into the richness of life's later chapters, where deeper relationships and untapped joys await. Moving on begins with understanding that the past has served its purpose. The experiences, relationships, and challenges of earlier years have shaped who we are, offering wisdom and resilience. However, clinging to the past can inhibit growth by keeping us tethered to what was rather than allowing us to engage fully with what is. Letting go is not about denying the significance of past connections but about recognizing when their role in our lives has naturally concluded. This perspective highlights the importance of creating space for the present and future. Life is a continuum, and every stage brings unique opportunities for fulfillment. By holding on to outdated relationships or unresolved attachments, we risk crowding out the potential for new, more aligned connections. For instance, deepening bonds with family, forming friendships with those who share current values, or exploring passions and hobbies can provide a sense of purpose and joy that is deeply rooted in the present. Moving on is also an act of self-respect. It involves recognizing your worth and prioritizing relationships that enrich rather than deplete your emotional and mental resources. This requires introspection and the ability to discern which connections are worth nurturing and which are best left as cherished memories. The courage to make these decisions stems from a commitment to your well-being and the understanding that life's journey is about progression, not stagnation. Furthermore, moving on does not mean rejecting the past but rather honoring it appropriately. By acknowledging the role old friends and experiences have played in shaping your life, you show gratitude for their contributions without allowing them to overshadow your present. This approach fosters a sense of closure and peace, enabling you to move forward without regret or guilt. It affirms that the past is a foundation upon which the present is built, not a structure that must be constantly revisited. The process of letting go also opens the door to the unknown, which can be both daunting and exciting. Embracing the future requires a willingness to step into uncharted territory, trusting that life's later chapters hold just as much potential for growth and happiness as those that came before. This perspective encourages a mindset of curiosity and openness, allowing you to approach new experiences and relationships with enthusiasm and hope. At its core, moving on is a deeply personal choice, one that demands reflection and courage. It is not a decision to be made lightly, as it involves reassessing priorities and making peace with the inevitability of change. However, when approached thoughtfully, it becomes a transformative act that paves the way for a life filled with meaning and fulfillment. By choosing to honor the past, protect the present, and embrace the future, you create a narrative that reflects growth, resilience, and the capacity for renewal. This journey of moving on underscores the importance of living intentionally. Each step forward is a reaffirmation of your commitment to living authentically, surrounded by people and experiences that align with your values and aspirations. It is an acknowledgement that life's richness is found not in clinging to what was but in celebrating what is and what can be. Through this process, you pave the way for a life that is both grounded in gratitude and open to the boundless possibilities of the future. The golden years of life are not merely a conclusion but a celebration of all that you have learned, experienced, and become. They are a time to embrace the simplicity and beauty of the present, to nurture relationships that bring joy and strength, and to honor the peace you have so diligently earned. Moving on from the past is not an act of abandonment but a testament to your growth, resilience, and the wisdom gained along your journey. Choose to live with intention. Choose joy over regret, peace over conflict, and the present over nostalgia. In the here and now, you hold the power to create a life that reflects the very best of who you are. Life's most profound beauty resides in the moments you cherish today, the connections you deepen, and the legacy of love and kindness you leave behind. Embrace your journey, celebrate your present, and inspire those around you by living fully and authentically. The story of your life is still unfolding. Write it with grace, courage, and a heart open to the endless possibilities ahead.